Some of you may remember this machine back in July 2018. This is the Dell OptiPlex GX280. Now, the GX280 was one of the computers that have bad CMOS batteries since 2018. So, it has been sitting there for almost a year almost a year, because it's been sitting there collecting dust and spider webs. And I can see that there's a roach. Now, I know I should have cleaned it up so I can improve the house project or something like that. So, if you want to see this video about the GX280, I'll put the link in the video description so you can actually see it in post-production. So, let's start the video right now about the other OptiPlex. What is up, YouTube? Ruben here, and today I'm going to show you guys this Dell OptiPlex GX520. Some of you may recognize this machine from the Windows XP install video, which I'm also going to go ahead and put the link in the video description if you have not watched it. Basically, it was one of these computers that introduced this design until it reached the Dell OptiPlex 380, 580, or 780. The 580 being the AMD version. There's also another AMD version of this design, and that is the OptiPlex 740, which has an AMD processor. So, we're not talking about the 740 here or any other OptiPlex with this design. So let's go ahead and get started. So, on the front we got the OptiPlex GX520 designation. Right here we got the CDRW drive. This computer should come with a DVD-ROM CDRW drive, but the door was messed up, so I replaced it with this trusty Sony IDE CDRW drive, and I pulled that drive out from, if the camera will focus, the Compaq Presario 5000 series. So, it's a good optical drive, but it's actually so slow, which is not what I expect, but okay. I installed Windows XP using that drive. Right here we got the 3.5-inch drive bay for a floppy drive or a memory card reader. There is no floppy drive in this system. Some of these computers did come with a floppy drive. Right here we got two USB 2.0 ports. And way down here we got two audio ports, one microphone and one headphone. And right here we got the hard drive indicator. Somewhere right here we got the network indicator that connects through Ethernet. And right here are the diagnostic lights. Now, they're not transparent, but they are transparent if you looked at the Dell Latitude D610, which the lights are transparent. Right here we got the power light. Now, the power light is integrated through the power button, and it is transparent. So that's the power button and light. Of course, when you put like the annotation there, it's only going to be the power button. Right here we got the Dell logo. The vent, the entire vent runs from the ports towards the bottom. And right here you should have had an Intel Pentium 4 sticker. And right here we got the Windows XP sticker. Now, this is a Windows Vista capable system. However, it was only shipped with Windows XP. Yeah, you can install Windows Vista in this computer because it has a newer Intel Pentium 4 processor. However, keep in mind that the Intel 945 graphics can support Vista. However, that can be a risk for crashing your system. So I would recommend you install Windows 7 on that, which may have the drivers for the Intel 945 graphics. So let's go ahead and get to the left, which right here is where the door is. Yes, disregard the keyboard. Okay, now I'm going to show you guys the back. Some of these ports right here are very different. This one is the desktop form factor machine, so it's not the small form factor, which uses the laptop optical drive and some of the ports missing. So right here we got the 220 watt power supply. We got the power connector right here. Right here we got line in, line out, and microphone ports. One of them is being used for the Logitech speakers. Right here we got Ethernet, 6 USB 2.0 ports that comes in handy. Right here we got VGA, serial, and parallel. And right here are these 3 brackets. Now if I could remember, we got the PCI 64-bit. That's the second slot. The bottom slot is PCI. In the first slot, there's an artifact for a PCIe X16 slot. And here in def is where you find the parts, which I'm going to go and open it up. So let me go ahead and open up this machine. So on the top we got the service tag and express service code and the Windows XP product key, which you can have it because I don't need that, even though I did install Windows XP, but I showed you guys the installation video anyway. So now to open this up, all you do is pull this tab right here and this door will come off. And there we go, we are inside. Right here is the optical drive. It's so big, yours will come with a smaller one, just a standard size. Way under the optical drive is the hard drive. Right here is our 220 watt power supply, which I need to focus on that. There we go, 220 watts. Right here, now this is a BTX system, so it's not ATX. The CPU sits right here under that heatsink. And that is the Intel Pentium 4 540. All the capacitors right here are very good. All the capacitors are known to be long lasting. Some of them which can sometimes bulge or leak. Right here we got 2 RAM slots. There's artifacts for 2 more. And here are 2 DDR2 sticks. Both of each has 1 GB. Right here we got the Intel 945 chipset. This is the floppy drive connector. Right here, this is the second serial connector, and that is what the first slot is designed for. You can actually install a second serial port, which is interesting, or a PS2 port. that comes in handy if you're still using old keyboards or old mice back in the 90s, which you can still use serial or PS2, which is kind of neat. Right here we got the speaker. Right here we got the PCI 64-bit slot. Of course, it is reversible, and you can also use a regular 32-bit PCI slot. Right down here is a 32-bit PCI slot, and right here is the CMOS battery. Now, this computer, one of these computers, starting with the GX 260 or the 270, all the way towards like the OptiPlex 745 or the OptiPlex 330, these are known to have lots of CMOS battery issues and causing the system battery voltage to go low. That one's already dead, so once they're ooh, oh sorry, I don't want to drop my phone. Disregard that. Once the CMOS batteries die, they just replace these computers with something newer. And the latest one you can get for an OptiPlex is either an OptiPlex 3060, 5060, or a 7060. There are some AMD versions as well. Like I saw on AMD's website saying that they got a Dell OptiPlex 5055. So that was a neat feature back in the AMD days, but that was not the old one. That was like the 2017 or 16 days when they introduced the AMD Ryzen Pro on the OptiPlex 5055. But we're not talking about any of these newer OptiPlexes. And you can see this board was manufactured sometime around 2005. So that was a good feature back then. At least this computer's from 2006. Now I want to show you guys this trick that some of you may not notice, and this applies to any Dell OptiPlex. Watch this. That's right. This piece right here is detachable. That means you can install a PCI graphics card full-sized. However, you're going to have to use a riser cable to actually run a full-sized PCI card. You can do that trick by buying a PCI riser cable, a PCI to PCI riser cable that can accept PCI graphics cards. So that's the trick. You can do this on any other OptiPlex too. I believe the 760 may have that design too, but I don't know. So now I'm going to show you guys the specs after I close this computer. Okay, it is now time for the specs. So this one has a 3.2 GHz Intel Pentium 4 540, and it is a socket LGA 775 Prescott CPU. For those who notice, these Prescott CPUs can be very hot, but they run for last. These are common for any Prescott Pentium 4 processors. So, if it runs hot, that's okay. But if it runs even hot, then you're definitely going to have to buy some thermal paste and then repaste the Pentium 4 Prescott processor. So, be careful with that one. These Pentium 4 Prescott CPUs, again, can be very hot. It runs a little bit hot, but if it runs a lot hotter than usual, then I would suggest you go ahead and repaste the Pentium 4. This one has at least 2 RAM slots. It has 2 GB of DDR2 667 MHz, so PC2 5300. You can upgrade this to 4 GB of RAM. However, keep in mind that you do not want to upgrade this computer to 8 GB because the chipset does not support anything higher than 4 GB. So that was a bad feature back then when it came to DDR2, especially since you can install some gaming memory in this one. This one has an 80 gig SATA hard drive. It is a Samsung drive. Now, there are some models that have a 40 gig hard drive, and I've seen one computer like this that has a 40 gig hard drive, which is too low at the time for businesses back in 2005 or 2006. And the one you see a 40 gig hard drive is revision 1. Now in this one, there's 3 revisions. Revision 1 is where you get the OptiPlex GX520 with an older Pentium 4 logo with a 40 gig hard drive. Revision 2 will have a standard Prescott Pentium 4 hyper-threaded with an 80 gig hard drive with a floppy drive. The revision 3, which is this one, will have the same new Pentium 4 logo, the modern Intel logo. However, it's not the same as revision 2, where you get the floppy drive. There is no floppy drive in this one. However, you could install a floppy drive to make it look like revision 2. However, keep in mind that this is a 2006 computer. The late 2005 model is the revision 2, and the early 2005 model is revision 1. So, that's the configuration for anything that is related to the GX520 or the GX620. This computer runs Windows XP Professional Service Pack 3. So, I did not install any programs on this computer. So, I'm not going to show you much of anything, but I'm going to go ahead and boot this computer up, set it to the BIOS, and then we'll boot into Windows XP. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to turn on the Dynex TV, which is now set to... Oh no, that's a Kobe TV. I messed it up on my Instagram page. I tagged Dynex TV instead of Kobe. So, you know, I'm not the best person in the world, but okay, I digress. Yes, what you're looking at the bottom is the MacBook Pro and the Dell Inspiron 2650. None of them will have a review. So let's go ahead and boot the computer up. I know they're not the proper peripherals for the GX520, but I digress. I got like a newer Dell mouse and a Dynex keyboard. You should have had a Dell keyboard and a Dell mouse. But I digress. I don't have any of these except another Dell mouse and this cheap mouse that you can use for any other OptiPlex made by Dell. So, I'm gonna go ahead and boot the computer up as UXW Bill says, smoke test. So right here is the OptiPlex GX520. It's running BIOS A07, which is the original BIOS. I'm not sure if there are any of these latest BIOS around here based on the GX520. You can look up the service tag if you want. I don't care what I do with the service tag. And yes, someone drew on the TV again. But that's not going to impact any performance because someone in this house draws on the TV for some reason. CPU, it has a 3.2 GHz Intel Pentium 4 540, 1 MB of L2 cache, and this is not the 64-bit CPU, this is actually a 32-bit CPU. So, even though this is a revision 3 computer, you're still not going to have a newer Pentium 4. I believe the 600 series will have the 64-bit technology. Memory is using 1 GB unbuffered non-ECC, and it is a dual interleave channel. Let's go to the drives. Diskette drive. There is no floppy drive. SATA-0 is on, and this is the 80 gig SATA-II hard drive. PATA-0 is on. PATA-1 is not on. In fact, there's another SATA, IDE port in here. SATA operation set to normal. And the smart reporting is off. For video, it's set to 8 megabytes, but it actually has a 224 megabyte graphics chip and is using Intel graphics. Hyperthreading is on, which is enabled. This CPU does support hyperthreading, I suppose. Let's check. Hyperthreading capable? Yes. So it is turned on and it's enabled. If you look at the event log, you can see there's a lot and lots of errors showing up. I'm gonna mark all entries. Fast boot is on, and that's all I can say. Now, I'm gonna go ahead and boot the computer up to Windows. I'm gonna show you. Let's do some fun by turning on the speaker for the Windows XP sound. No, I'm not using internal speakers, I'm using Logitech speakers. Yeah, I'll hit exit. There you go, Windows XP. Yeah, good old Windows XP. So let's go and pause it and I'll be back. Okay, so here's the system properties. You can see it's running Windows XP Professional Service Pack 3, version 2002. Hold on, let me move this chair so I can sit towards the computer. So, again, it's running Windows XP Professional Service Pack 3. It is a Dell OptiPlex. I will be adding the OEM info in this one, but I need to remember all the steps that I need to work on so I can put all the computer info into this computer. So what I'm going to do is, right here, We got the Intel Pentium 4 running at 3.2 gigahertz, 1.99 gigabytes of RAM because that is used by the graphics, being the Intel 945 graphics. And it has the physical address extension. Let's take a look at the hardware using Device Manager. For hard drives, we got, like I said, a Samsung HD080HJ/P hard drive. It's an 80 gig. Anything that says HD whatever number, that is the size of the hard drive that you have. Display adapters is using the Intel 82945G graphics, or the 945G. As a Sony DVD drive or CDRW drive, yours will come with, like, I believe, a OptiPlex, or I can't remember what manufacturer was it, but yours will come with a DVD-ROM CDRW drive. Network is using the Broadcom NetExtreme 5751 gigabit controller. It has parallel communications port, which is a serial port. This processor, even though it shows two processors, it's not a dual core processor. It's actually a hyper-threaded processor. So this is the core, and right here is the other two threads. So it has one core, two threads. So if you remember the review of that HP Compaq Elite 8300 USDT computer, that one has a Intel Core i7 3770S that supports hyper-threading. So it has a quad-core 8-threaded processor. And if you want to check the video out for at least the HP, the Compaq Elite 8300, I'll put the link in the video description if you want to see it. For the sound, we got SoundMax integrated digital audio, and right here we got the 82801 ICH7 USB 2.0 controller. I'll show you guys the hard drive. If I right click and hit properties, I only used 3.3 gigabytes out of the 74 gigabytes, which, again, formatting, it's an 80 gig hard drive. This cleanup will help you clean up your old hard drive, which can free up to at least 32 kilobytes right now. It takes up a lot of space because of the RAM. It all depends on the RAM. It has the pagefile.sys that has a file size with the same amount as the RAM. Again, there is no floppy drive. It says it's an A drive, but there is no floppy drive in here, like I stated before. I don't know why this one keeps showing up, but there is no floppy drive in there. So now I'm going to go ahead and show you guys some Windows programs, so I'll be back. The first thing I'm going to start with is WordPad. There you go. Reason why is because I don't have Office installed. Next, I'm going to show you guys Internet Explorer. Yes, let's do something. Do something crazy, as if it was a crazy can from Computer Clan. doing some tech misadventures here. And there we go, we are running Internet Explorer. It has IE6 installed when I installed Windows. Looking for a Service Pack 3 update, which is kind of interesting. At least IE is no longer usable, even in the Windows 10. Yeah, it's kind of sad to see it go. Show you guys Windows Media Player. Next. Yes, sure. Let's see. Yes, add a shortcut. Finish. As you can see, this is Windows Media Player. Of course, I always set it to skin mode, which is what I use in Windows Media Player. Of course, I can set it to a full mode. This is the full mode right here. Of course, the camera won't even focus on anything. So let me do that. There we go. Now it's darker. Let's see. Anything else? Let's try Outlook Express, because who knows? Cancel. Yes. And there we go. Outlook Express is running just fine. So that's it. Now I'm going to show you guys the graphics, as I won't end videos without it. So right here we got, this thing isn't even focusing. So right here is the Intel 945G graphics, and this is a 224 megabyte graphics card or chip, which is kind of unusual. That was back in the day when they used like oddball amount of RAM, like 224 megabytes. You should have had at least 256 megabytes, which you can play 720p videos on there. And the driver is from 2006. So, that's the Intel 945 graphics. So now, I'll get you guys to the conclusion. So in conclusion, is it worth it? Probably not. Like I stated before, these computers are known to have CMOS battery issues, and I remember seeing these when I was a kid, when they are in service at the time. However, last year they started to have CMOS battery issues, so if you have one of these computers, you should eventually either replace your CMOS battery with a new one, or just get a newer OptiPlex, because they're starting to go out of service in 2019. Starting in 2018, they're starting to get out of service. So, yeah. So, there you go, people. I'm going to go ahead and... Oh, one more thing I forgot to say is that these computers right here, I remember, like I said, seeing these. I think, if I'm not mistaken, I saw a 780 sitting there back in July of 2018. But I couldn't save that one, so it's best to save this computer. And I did. I should have saved say like a 760 or 755. But what's the deal? Oh, yeah, that's kind of interesting. And Windows XP is more reliable too on this computer. So there you go, people. I'm gonna go ahead and end the video. So, oh, if you want to see the links for both the Dell OptiPlex GX280, the HP Compaq Elite 8300 USDT, which is this small computer right here. I'm not sure if this camera will actually focus on something like this, but that's the computer right here. Or the Windows XP installation video, which could be behind the scenes. All the links will be in the video description. Oh, if you want to do some tech mystery unboxing, I could do that too. Let me know if you want me to do that. I would love to unbox some stuff from you guys with absolutely no cost. I would love to do a mystery unboxing. I did that once with the computer parts, which had a hard drive, which I slot that into that Compaq CQ5500F. A motherboard that I use for a custom build, which I actually what's the word I'm looking for? I detached it or taken it apart. Let me know if you want me to send some parts for me to unbox. I would love to do so. I watched Ryan Gehret for the longest time, and he seems to be a good guy, a good tech channel. So I'll keep the ever-growing channel in my life here. So let me know what you think of this Dell OptiPlex GX520. Is this something that you want to look at? Do you have one of these? Or if you had, let me know, as I want to see your thoughts. Also, if you want to check out Ryan Gehret's channel, I'll put the link in the video description. So there you go, people. I'm gonna go ahead and end the video. So yes, disregard the dog barking. But anyway, thank you guys for watching. Please be sure to hit the subscribe button. And also, follow me on Twitter and Instagram if you have not done that already. Let me do one more thing before I go ahead and end the video. There you go. You can follow me on Twitter at RubenAparicio17. And you can also follow me on Instagram at Ruben the Transit Fan. I'm gonna go ahead and shut down the computer for your sake of time. And no, I'm not gonna save this document. That concludes the review, so I'll see you next time.